Hey, welcome to TPM Simplified, where I break down all the big tech terms like your five. And today we'll be answering some fun questions. The first question we'll be answering is, who is a technical product manager? Would also be comparing who a technical product manager is and who a product manager is. Thirdly, would be understanding how products are built, and as a result, we'll see how API works, what causes bugs in software. We'll also look at what refactoring is and how to prioritize technical work like refactoring and performance issues. If you're not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, I would encourage that you please subscribe so that you would be aware when subsequent videos drop. Let's quickly dive into answering these fun questions. Technical product managers are different from the regular product manager. And of course, I would be explaining using simple analogies. Okay, so let's make it super easy by imagining that we are planning a big birthday party. Okay, so you want to throw a big and the best birthday party ever. You want music, balloons, cake, and games. Now imagine you are the person who says, we need 20 chairs, 3 speakers, a chocolate cake, and a place for the magician to plug in his lights. You're not just picking the fun stuff, you're also thinking about how to make the party work. That's what a technical product manager does. We don't just bake the cake and set up the lights, but we understand what's needed to make everything run smoothly. And so a technical product manager is a product manager with a strong understanding of technology. We don't write codes, but we understand how the product is built. We understand how systems connect, how APIs work, what causes bugs, and how to prioritize technical work like the refactoring or the performance issues. And so basically, a TPM is the bridge between engineering and the business. Yeah. So we are translating product goals into realistic plans. These realistic plans are what the devs team can actually build, while we are still ensuring that we solve the customer problems. So we understand tech and we understand the customer problems. And as a result, we tweak the system, the product, the software in a way that suits customers, right? So we can speak to the developer and say, okay, can you add this feature? Can you do it this way? Can you analyze it this way? In order for it to suit the customer, right? And so if a product manager focuses on the customer, focuses on the business goals, focuses on the user experience, focuses on the go-to-the-market strategy, a technical product manager does all of that, plus works more closely with the engineers, understands the system architecture, prioritizes tech debt, bugs, and performance issues, and often works on the internal tools such as APIs or the platform level features, right? So in short, if the PM drives the what and the why, meaning that if the PM answers the what are we building and the why are we building this product, the TPM goes deeper into how are we building this product, right? And that takes me to our next question. The next question is, how are products built? Yeah, so let's imagine that you want to build a cool toy, right? The cool toy is a robot. You want to build a robot that tells jokes and dances, right? To build that robot, somebody needs to have an idea, right? So the person that has the idea will say, okay, what if we had a robot that could dance and tell jokes, right? And that's the idea stage, right? The idea stage is always fun, exciting, all the possibilities. Oh, we can, all of those things. And then the next stage is when the TPM comes in and says, okay, we want to build something super cool. And then the TPM wears two hats. The first hat is the product thinking. Okay, so people want a fun robot that can dance, talk, make them laugh, Let's make that our goal. This same TPM understands how the technical, understand the technical know-how. Aside from the product thinking, he also wears the art of saying, okay, to make this work, we need wheels for dancing, we need a speaker for talking, we need memory for storing the jokes, right? So the TPM figures out what we are building, why we are building it, and how it can actually work. Then after the TPM has stepped in, and then he or she can define what we are building, why we are building, and how it actually works. This TPM passes this idea on to the engineers. This is he or she explains with the use of diagrams, with the use of charts, to the engineers. Most times we work alongside the designers, right? The designers, you explain to both the engineer and to the designers, the product designer. This designer would sketch out what we are building in a way that when the engineer sees it, he or she would understand further and then start building, right? So once the engineer understands the idea, they get to work. They write the codes, they connect the robot parts, they test it if it can spin, it can speak without breaking, right? So the engineers are like the builders who bring the TPM's plan to life. Now, after the engineers have built and then it's working, we then pass this idea on to the QA. The QA are the quality assurance team, right? So before anyone gets the robot, a team checks everything. They check if it can dance without falling. They check if it can tell jokes clearly. They check if it doesn't stop working when the battery is low, right? So the QA makes sure everything works just right. Now, after the QA has tested and then, it has been passed, then we launch, right? Now the robot is ready for the world. It is then packaged, and if it's a software, it is then uploaded and shared with people everywhere, right? And if the product or the robot breaks, like if something breaks in the development, or if the robot needs improvement, the TPM and the team fix it or make it better next time. Yeah, so let's review our product at launch. Number one, you dream up a great idea, right? Number two, the TPM turns that idea into a plan and figures out the tech stuff. Number three, the TPM release this idea to engineers and they build it. Number four, after the engineers have built, the QA team test it. And number five, it gets launched to the world. That's how awesome products like robots, apps, or websites come to life. Now, let's remember that I said that the technical product manager understands how APIs work. Very quickly, I would like to take us through how an API works. Now, imagine you are at a restaurant. You are hungry and you want pancakes. You don't just go to the kitchen and cook it yourself, right? You would rather ask the waiter, "Oh, hi waiter, please, I would like to have some pancakes." And then the waiter takes your order to the kitchen and brings your food back. That is how API works. API is acting like the waiter, right? It helps two systems like an app and a database talk to each other, right? So if you open a weather app and it shows you 26 degrees Celsius sunny, right? The app didn't just guess that. It asked the weather API. So you think of the API as a vending machine that is always there waiting, right? But the vending machine doesn't do anything until someone presses a button, right? So the code written by the developer is what makes the request, and that code usually runs when the user does something, right? Like clicking a button, opening an app, or submitting a form, right? So when you press a button, now the developer has already written instructions like when the button is clicked, send a request to the API with this information. Now, once the button is clicked, the API responds. The API gets the message or the request, does its job, and sends back the results, right? So in summary, the API just sits there waiting to respond to requests. The developer's code makes the actual request, right? Now, the user actions usually triggers the code, right? So basically, you can say it's like a vending machine that only gives snacks when someone presses the right button. Yeah, so basically that's how an API works. Let's quickly look at what causes bugs in a software. So let's imagine you've built your code in your robot. You built your robot, but on the day of launch, you notice that what's going on? The robot is not functioning. It's not telling the jokes we want you to tell, or the jokes are not just coming off, or it's not dancing. These are what we call bugs. Bugs are like mistakes, but in quotes, right? And what are the common reasons that these bugs happen? Why do bugs happen? Number one, if there's a typo in the code, like a spelling mistake, it can result in the app or in the product not responding as it should, right? Number two, if you've given the computer wrong instructions. Remember that I said that codes are a set of instructions given to the computer in the language it understands, right? So if you give the computer wrong instructions, of course it won't give you your results. Number three, we experience bugs when we have missed a step, right? So if there are missing steps, there will be a bug. Also, we experience bugs when two parts of the system are not talking properly. Yeah. And last but not the least, we experience bugs when changes made in one place breaks something else. Yeah, we experience this particular reason oftentimes in development. Yeah. So you made a change somewhere else, but this change has caused another breakage somewhere else. The developer needs to run through all of what he's doing to ensure that there are no breakage. Yeah. So it's not because the developer is lazy, right? Most times softwares are just really complex. Yeah, and that's why we experience bugs. Now, let's quickly go to how to prioritize technical work like refactoring and the performance issues. So, refactoring is basically cleaning and organizing codes without changing what it does, right? The app still works the same, but now it is easier to fix, faster to update, and better for the team. That's refactoring, right? So, how do you prioritize technical work like refactoring? You need to, clean code or reorganize codes. How do you prioritize it? Yeah. Because these tasks don't always feel urgent. Most times you're like, oh, don't worry, we can still walk around the app without refactoring, but they're really super important, Yeah, they're really super important, but they don't always feel urgent. And this is how TPMs usually think about it, right? What's the impact? If we refactor, will it make the app faster? Will it stop crashes or errors? Will it save time for developers later? Or they would ask, is it blocking anything else? So are we able to build new features because the code is too messy? Are we losing customers because the app is too slow? Is it risky to delay? I mean, the refactoring, is it risky to delay? If we wait for too long, will it break something big? Will it cost more to fix later? Yeah, so these are the questions TPMs need to ask themselves before going through refactoring. Even though refactoring doesn't feel urgent sometimes, they are so important. And so TPMs balance urgency. We add values to users, we help our developers' productivity, and we alleviate the risk of waiting. Yeah, so sometimes technical work needs to go in first, and other times you can plan it into sprint with feature work. Yeah, this we have come to the end of this video. I really want to say a very big thank you if you watched this to this part. In subsequent videos we'll be seeing more topics, we'll be exploring more topics in subsequent videos, topics like skills every TPM needs, a day in the life of a TPM, how TPM works with developers, designers, and stakeholders. Would be exploring so many topics. And so please, if you are not yet subscribed, kindly subscribe, and most importantly, please share this video with fellow texters. Thank you and bye for now.